first death. They've just reported it in what they're calling a storm-related crash. A live look now, Point Pleasant in New Jersey, where the sun has set near the spot where forecasters say the hurricane is now coming ashore. But they say the monster storm will spread devastation far and wide on the East Coast and well beyond. One of two main roads into Atlantic City, New Jersey. Look at this. It's washed out hours before Sandy even came ashore. The city shut down its casinos for what, the fourth time in its history. Today, governors up and down the East Coast warned people to get out of the danger zones or stay inside.
This is the most catastrophic event that we have faced and been able to plan for in any of our lifetimes.
This is going to be a long haul. The days ahead are going to be very difficult. There will be people who die and are killed in this storm.
This is not a time to be a show-off. This is not a time to be stupid. This is a time to try to save yourself and your family.
New Jersey Governor Christie, who tonight is angry, and even before landfall, Sandy's winds will do damage. This is a construction crane that partially collapsed in Midtown Manhattan, just north of Times Square. A closer look here. Fire department officials tell Fox News they closed off the surrounding streets, ordered people on the top floors of nearby buildings to evacuate. And officials say so far no injuries. That crane up 65 stories. Look at this. The superstorm has shut down mass transit in Boston, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., and New York. This is Grand Central Terminal. And here, the Times Square subway station. Never have I seen it like this. Officials say they cannot tell us when the trains and buses will be running again, but certainly not for tomorrow morning's rush. The airlines have canceled multiple thousands of flights, leaving passengers stranded across our nation and overseas. Of course, the hurricane is just one part of a dangerous and unprecedented combination. There's also a winter storm system moving from the west and Arctic air barreling down from Canada. Throw in a full moon and high tide just about an hour or so from now, and you get what one expert calls the worst-case scenario. Heavy rains and gale-force winds have been pounding the coast of Maryland all day. The eye of the storm making landfall to the north. But remember, this thing is about 1,000 miles wide, and it's doing damage all up and down the mid-Atlantic. Let's begin tonight. Steve Harrigan, Ocean City, Maryland. What are conditions like there now, Steve?
Shepard, I've just been watching these waves behind me rise up in the night to 15 or 20 feet and then crash. It was just a short time ago that at the end of this boardwalk, those waves actually destroyed an iconic pier, just really tore it to shreds. Over the last couple of hours, we've seen really the wind strong enough to snap stop signs in half. I've been seeing small objects fly through the area as well. The downtown area in Ocean City pretty much sealed off some heavy flooding there, and they're worried the flooding is going to get worse. Officials say this wind that we're now feeling, occasional hurricane gusts, is going to continue to get worse. Shepard.
Breaking news now on Fox News Channel. The National Hurricane Center has just sent us an alert while Steve was talking that the hurricane will officially make landfall about an hour from now. That is extremely significant. I'll get into the details of why in less than a minute. First to Steve, what's the latest from officials there?
Told you, dude.
Shepard, officials are really trying to emphasize that people should not go out, that they should stay in their homes, and perhaps the strongest testimony to this has been from Maryland's governor. Here's what he had to say earlier.
There will undoubtedly be some deaths that are caused by the intensity of the storm, by the floods, by the tidal surge, and by the waves. The more responsibly citizens act, the fewer people will die.
You can see it gets so strong here, sometimes you really have to brace yourself. We still have electric power, but at least 40,000 people in Maryland have lost their power, mainly in the Baltimore area, and thousands more expected to over the next 24 hours, Shepard.
Steve Harrigan live along the shore in Ocean City, Maryland. We just got word from the National Hurricane Center, two different important pieces of information. One, this storm is to make landfall in about an hour, and number two, it's no longer a hurricane and may in fact be something even worse. Let's go to the wall and I'll show you what I'm talking about. We talked all day about how the belief was this hurricane would turn into something else. A hurricane has tropical signatures that stay with it as long as it moves along like a hurricane. This one has now added another storm to it. This winter storm that's been coming from the west, they have combined. The center of the storm is no longer tropical like an eye. So what you see coming ashore here, right along the Jersey shore, right about here, is now what they're calling a superstorm. It's a combination of a hurricane, a winter storm that's come from this way, and Arctic air that's come from the north. And it's pushing into land much faster than anybody had anticipated. It was moving at 15 miles an hour 12 hours ago. It's now moving at 28 to 30 miles an hour. So that increases the forward winds above it, and it also decreases the amount of time that that very heavy onshore flow and the surge will affect the landfall. Here are the biggest problems. Let's go to the next map. The biggest problems have to do with this storm surge. The storm surge, 3 hours ago, we were told the storm had speeded up. As a result, it would have been coming in about 5 or 6 o'clock Eastern time. Turns out that didn't happen. It's expected around 8:15, and 8:15 is high tide. That is absolutely a worst case scenario. Let's get to Janice Dean in the Fox Weather Center. Janice, the hope was that the 8:15, 8:30 high tides would not coincide with landfall. Now it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen.
Well, and you were exactly right with the description that we are now talking about a subtropical storm. It is transitioned from a tropical storm to an extratropical storm. So instead of a warm core, it has a cold core. It interacted with that Arctic front and infused some cold air, really sort of acting as gasoline on a fire. So this storm is strengthening. And yes, unfortunately, it looks like the worst of it could come at high tide along those very vulnerable storm surge prone regions. So I just want to show you, we were thinking that this had made landfall, and now the National Hurricane Center, National Weather Service is saying we're still waiting for a landfall because it has made that transition. So the center is not as evident as it typically would be with a tropical landfalling tropical system. So there's Ocean City. Again, you can kind of see that center. That's why we thought the center had come on shore. But because it made that transition within the last couple of hours as a non-tropical system, that is why we are still waiting for the latest advisory telling us the exact landfall location. And Shep, I just want to give you an indication of some of the latest wind gusts that we are seeing. And the latest at Kings Point, New York, west end of Long Island, storm surge over 12 feet above normal tide coming, high tide in 2 hours. Back to you.
Janice Dean, thanks very much. Live in the Weather Center, back to her with breaking news. This is from Point Pleasant, New Jersey, which all day long has been taking a pounding, and now the storm is so severe there that even our satellite truck can't get out. Rick Leventhal is live on scene where he's been all day. Rick, it sounds like this is bigger than most they're expecting.
Separate things have taken a dramatic turn for the worse in just the past few minutes. Water rushed onto Ocean Avenue, onto Washington Avenue, the intersection where our hotel is located. The water has now reached the parking lot, and what was once just a puddle on Ocean Avenue is now at least 2 feet of water, and it's rushing in from the ocean in waves coming down Washington Avenue. Trees are bent. There's a large shed that broke free the side of the one-car garage, now sitting in the middle of the intersection, and the water is just continuing to rise around us. A pretty eerie feeling. Our truck had to put the ditch down and pull the cables. We're concerned about our other vehicles, so we're on high ground right now, but looking out from the second, third-story balcony at the water rising in the street below is pretty unsettling.
Rick Leventhal live, Point Pleasant, New Jersey. Rick, be safe. We'll be back to you for updates as warned. And see how this is working? This storm surge is what we're concerned about. Here's sort of the center of it, right? The worst of it for every storm is always to the right. The northeast quadrant is always the worst. So that's what's coming into New York City. Rick described what the weather forecasters locally have been fearing all day long, and that is that at some point, in a matter of minutes, not hours, water will rise from here to here. That's a storm surge. It happens very quickly, and the fear is that this afternoon, first map please, it's going to happen in New York City. High tide around, this is New York City, lower Manhattan. All these yellow areas are mandatory evacuation areas all over this island. Next map, and you'll see that it's really all over the 5 boroughs of New York City. Brooklyn, Staten Island, the lower end of Manhattan, Queens, and all along these beaches, all mandatory evacuations. A storm surge is on the way. Next map. It's going to come right up through the center of all of this. It's going to batter into New York City. And this is Fire Island, so Long Island out beyond. This is the borough of Queens, and then Fire Island, separated by a storm that cut a government cut a long time ago. Then Dude Road in the Hamptons. All of this expected to get a storm surge somewhere between 6 and 11 feet, and the local emergency managers are telling us it may be on the high side of that, because we have a combination that never in the history of this region has been seen, and that is a storm coming ashore directly at high tide during a full moon, and truthfully, a 6 to 11 foot storm surge, and all of this is in big trouble, as is the subway system in Lower Manhattan. News is breaking now in New York City as not only we have that crane disaster, but also word of a 4-story apartment building which caught fire and has now collapsed. We're told it's at 14th Street and 8th Avenue, which would be West Village meets the Chelsea area. Authorities are on scene. We're working to get our cameras there. That crane still dangling just above Times Square. Now officials say inspectors have to climb up there to take a look at it somehow. We'll get a live update there. Our journalists are positioned up and down the eastern seaboard for the storm of 2012, like nothing the Northeast has ever experienced, and it will come ashore tonight.
2013 was a grim reminder of the potential destruction a volatile atmosphere can unleash. Just 11 days prior, a killer EF5 tornado ended the lives of 23 people, injured almost 400, and destroyed over 12,000 homes as it ripped a mile-wide path through Moore, Oklahoma, achieved severe status. Here we are keeping an eye on all 3 bases that eventually joined forces to become one organized storm. At 38, the brilliant minds at the Storm Prediction Center issued a tornado warning. Now we are about to witness the birth of a record-breaking tornado that will eventually grow to over 2.5 miles wide. That is not cool. Ugly tornado. Look at the size of that monster. Jesus. There goes. Look at that. Jesus. Man. Holy hell. Alright, this is gonna get really ugly really fast here. That. God. This is ugly. I gotta stop and take some pictures. The multiple vortex tornado was moving faster now, growing in size, and while tailgating a line of other vehicles, I calculated a direct hit, so I whipped the car around and headed back west. Blue gale blowing sideways, and there's a tornado next to me. People are gonna die today. Might be me. That's a massive tornado right there. Wrapped in rain. Here we're blasting east, trying to catch up to the monster, which is now making a hard left turn. But I had to stop and help a panicked woman standing in the road.
I feel good. I can borrow. My house is over by the airport. My husband is there. I'm here babysitting my grandkids.
Yep, I sure do. What's your phone number?
It's 918.
Hold on, here we call. Hang on.
No.
You're fine. Everything's fine.
Okay.
Everything's fine.
918.
918. This clip reveals man's best friend's internal struggle between loyalty and self-preservation. Get into shelter. Do you have shelter here?
We've got a storm cellar with no door on it.
The worst is past. Get in it. Your phone isn't working?
Oh my God.
Everything's fine.
The house is right across the street from the airport. It's my house.
It happened right next to you. You're fine.
Okay.
Well, their phone is ringing, so here, I gotta roll up the window because
Okay.
the gear's getting. At this point, the tornado is at peak width, a 2.6 mile wide EF5, the widest tornado ever recorded. Tornado's still on the ground. From my perspective, that appeared to be the end of the tornado's life. However, several other areas of strong rotation are now evident on radar, including
gosh, I just can't see. I cannot see a freaking thing. I can't see. Let it cover the sun too. Look at that. Wow, it's like cool but creepy. Wow, look at it move. Before I get there. Oh, look at it. There's a shark in it. Wow, look how dark it is. Dark behind me. Here goes the sun. Get married. Here goes the sun.
There it goes. Power flash.
both of us. Get ready to back up. You gotta make perfectly sure it doesn't like it's gonna expand beyond. Yeah, huge. Look at the horizontal vortex, guys. The sinking motion. Houses! This is not good, guys. Watching it. Dead. I'm watching the left edge. Get down soon. Talk to me. Okay, hand it off. We gotta move, you guys. No, we don't. That's just debris coming! Get in! Big debris! Drop it down? No, let's move forward. No, I can't even see it. Okay. It's about to get real windy. Get hit by debris. Get hit by debris. We get an inflow jet, guys. Get your seatbelt on. Watch out for debris, guys. We got debris coming around. Go, Joel. You got it. Back edge. Joel, look at the occlusion. Look at that. Comes. It's a lot of dirt. There goes the sun. Well, here comes the dirt now.
Holy cow. Can't see anything out there anymore. That is crazy, man. Holy cow. That is rad.
Did you see coming in though? Wasn't that
Oh yeah.
awesome?
Can't even see anything out there. That's unreal.
Волны нету нихуя, блядь, падает. Пиздец, была. Во-во-во. Полетела. Ничего не происходит, уебались бы все. Да не стоит балласту раскидывать. А, нахуй, да, отсюда ранится. Опа. Нихуя еще. Ебать, надо сколько. Сука, бля, сейчас в самом нужный момент еще закончится. Ну что, падение не зафотаю, что ли, ёбаный рот. Блять, как бы самому не уебаться еще. Пизда, как бы дойти еще до дома-то, ебаный рот. Надо вызывать нахуй на помощь. Пизда, умрем нахуй, не вспомнит никто. Хули управления нет, хода нету. Стоим нахуй, помираем. Жертву до 5 числа нахуй. Ебать, что делать вообще? Рука мёртвая. Белый шквал, ёпта. Я ебу собак. Да, готов. Да, сразу никогда готов. Пизда нашим денежкам. Охуеть. Нихуя он таранит грузовик.